Hello.
Hello there. This is
Hello.
Empowering the Innocent with me, Sean B.W. Parker for ETI, and Mr. Mike Thompson of the Falsely Accused Network. And we're here to this time we're talking about the jury trials, which have just become news in the UK after Sir Brian Leveson, I think it's Brian, decided that because of the 70,000 court backlog in the courts, to essentially recommend getting rid of juries after 1,000 years of having them. There's more to go into it, which we'll do with the massive brain that is Mike, after he introduces what he does with FAN, Falsely Accused Network. So, hi Mike, do you want to give us a little introduction to what you do?
Hi, thank you, Sean. Pleasure speaking with you as always, by the way. So Falsely Accused Network is an organisation that I founded and set up to support anybody who's been falsely accused of domestic abuse. We can support anybody in England and Wales. We can't do Scotland or Northern Ireland, unfortunately, because it's a different legal jurisdictions. So if anybody has been falsely accused of domestic abuse, they can call our helpline. Our number is 0204 538 8788, or they can go to our website, which is www.falselyaccusednetwork.co.uk, or email us at support@falselyaccusednetwork.co.uk. We can do a free confidential call on the helpline. Then we can start to send you in the right direction with the relevant legal professionals which you may need. We do have mental health professionals that we can refer you to, and we have, of course, our fantastic private support group, which is very, very well protected, and we take your safeguarding extremely seriously, and you won't be judged. We're here to help you.
Good stuff. So I saw, as this news was being broken a few days ago, you, in the Falsely Accused Network articles that you write each week, brilliant articles. I think that you did one about this subject, and you weren't entirely optimistic. What's your basic take on it?
So, news, because of the 70,000 cases backlog, which is concerning for everybody. That's victims of crimes, that's defendants, that's everybody involved in the criminal justice system. An idea has been proposed to restrict jury trials. It's very concerning, deeply concerning. The jury system has been established in our jurisdiction for a very, very long time, and that's for a reason. As that right to be tried by your peers, to me, and to many lawyers that I've spoke to, and the general public and people involved, is sacred. And we must guard this at all costs. Now, I've recently learned that one of the proposals is to try and reduce the backlog, is to increase the credit for guilty pleas. So I think it's at the moment, at the earliest outset, I think it's 33%. There's been talk of increasing that, which, in my opinion, may lead to a phenomenon which is well known in this sector of a false guilty plea. It may put pressure on people to plead guilty to a crime they didn't commit to get this over with as quickly as possible. Another concern I have with this is the role of single judges or magistrates deciding in these cases, is that there is bias there. There's ideology behind a lot of these judges and magistrates who may be case hardened, maybe not have the life experience, maybe not even have the courage to really acquit people, and that worries me deeply. Whereas a jury's anonymous. They're not how do I put it? They're not going to be in the newspapers. The names are not going to be anywhere, and it gives a jury a jury system protects us from bias. So I am frightened about what's going on these proposals, and I just hope and pray that we can resist this.
Yeah. When we talk about the 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 judge and the jury system is supposed to be free of bias. Um, Without going too deeply into the politics, lots of journalists will disagree on the Lucy Connolly case of relatively recently, which is obviously mixed up in the cultural wars of race and things like that. But for our purposes, the fear that I have, to be frank with you, is that the juries are got rid of and they're replaced by gender studies trained judges who are incentivized to prosecute based on things like the rape myths and things like that, which have been debunked by loads of people. But when things are debunked, everyone seems to ignore the debunking in that world.
Yeah, I agree. This is what worries me, is that I think you and I will have to be quite frank here, that feminism runs deep through the criminal justice system. And remember, feminism is an ideology. Feminism isn't women. It's a political ideology. And that's what worries me with judges, magistrates who have deeply been, I'll just have to say it quite frankly, indoctrinated within that ideology, that do believe these so-called rape myths and whatever else, that men in particular, because that's mainly that come through to us, are really on an unfair system that will produce. Frightens me to death, actually.
We have a mutual friend called Emma Wells, the Overseas Victims organisation, who has done jury service in the past. And she's deeply critical of almost anybody talking about juries if they don't know what they're on about. And her stance seems to be that once you're in the jury room, everyone talks in this completely meaningless, I want to get out of here kind of way. And I haven't done jury service, but I'm aware of what juries do. And the jury room must be very prone to groupthink. Groupthink's one of my big bugbears in society. People think they can't escape it, because being accepted within that group is more important than the truth to people. You see this time and time again, right? And how is that not going to happen in the jury room? And this is going to happen more and more if you get rid of if you get rid of the jury, that all that groupthink is going to be transplanted onto the judges, and we're just trusting them to be even-minded people, but not if they got conviction targets to fill, or if they're aware of them.
Well, let's think about this, Sean. Okay, let's say we've got a judge who sits in Manchester, and let's just think of a name, Judge Jones. This is just a fictitious judge.
Judge Morrissey.
Now, if that judge, go on, let's go with that. Judge Morrissey. Okay, this is a fictitious judge that exists in Manchester who he's going to be hearing cases as a single judge. So he'll become the judge and the jury. And let's say he gets a reputation for acquitting domestic abuse cases a bit more on a higher percentage than other judges. Then the press and the media may pick up on that, and the pressure for him to then maybe convict more via, could be social media, could be press reports, whatever, may happen. Whereas a jury system, these people are anonymous. Nobody knows the names other than the courts. It's quite secret as well. They're anonymous. And also a jury can actually, what's it called? There's a doctrine where they can actually acquit a guilty person as well if they don't think it's in the public interest.
Oh yeah.
And there is a doctrine, and I've forgotten what it's called, but it is actually well known. But a jury is anonymous, and there's a reason why. It protects the innocent, but it also protects the jury as well. They're under no pressure. They can convict or acquit as they see it. Whereas judges may be under a lot of pressure to start convicting in more cases because of certain campaigns in the press. People get onto them. I could imagine a certain left-wing barrister that you and I equally despise. We won't name her though. Would be, pardon?
No, can I? No, better not. Better not.
We better not. We won't name her. But I think anybody knows who we're talking about. Could start doing campaigns on certain judges. This is what worries me. So another jury system, and it does have its flaws. I get it. Like you've alluded to Emma when she has done jury service. Of course, it does get it wrong. We know it does. But I feel much safer keeping the jury system than getting rid of it and handing it over to feminist indoctrinated judges.
Indeed. The criticisms that I've read since it coming out, and there's all the hoo-ha, and then you get some other kind of better voices, better informed voices coming in later, are just saying things like only very serious stuff is going to be dealt with. Things like fraud is not going to be. So, and apparently that it comes out to about a third of all of the 75,000 backlog dealt with. So it's like they're only getting rid of it for some, and the some that they are isn't going to make a dent at all. So it's almost what's the point in doing it? And also, for fraud, it's not a victimless crime. These people know how to crunch when they're guilty. These people know how to crunch statistics and stuff like that. So you're kind of letting off the white collars, are you not? So it's like what I suspect is if this works, if they start this process, then they're going to roll it out to everything else. And domestic violence and sexual assault is going to be very quickly the next, because all of those juries don't know what they're talking about, right?
That's what they're going to say. That's what they'll say. No, I think we have to resist. We have to resist this. We need to start looking at reopening the courts again, because a lot got shut down in the courts. We need more funding for the criminal justice system, including maybe people agree or disagree, more legal aid funding for solicitors. I mean, what legal aid solicitors get paid is just paltry. But no, we have to resist this. I can only see bad things coming with this.
Yeah, it's there is anecdotal evidence that on sexual assault and domestic violence, intimacy-based convictions, which it's not a thing that I've heard before, is intimacy-based things like this, allegations, because they're not crimes, they're allegations, we always need to remember. But they can have up to 9 women in a jury to 3 men. I've discussed this with Felicity Stryjak of FACT, the falsely accused context of support lady, who thinks that these biases that they might have in those numbers, the 9 to women to 3 men, won't actually go against the men as much as I suspect they might. But with the Greek thing that I was talking about earlier, I'm not sure she's correct. I mean, when you have 9 women in a room, without wanting to be discriminatory about it, they're going to have oh my God, this happened to me, and if it didn't, then it happened to somebody I know, and I know what I'm feeling. And 3 men in there being completely quietened down, and if any of them speaks up, they're out. They are out grouped. You know, they're not out of the room, they're out grouped, they're shut up and everything else. What do you think? Do you agree with me that we might have 2 pools for these kind of intimacy and essay based convictions, not fraud, these things, to have 2 groups to choose from men and from women to get a 50-50 jury? Do you think that's a good idea, or is that anti-democratic as well?
I think in theory it's a good idea to try and keep it as equal as possible. There is some. I'm going to move into family law just a little bit here. There is some evidence from certainly my experience and the many men, thousands of men that we've spoke to, the False Accused Network, that actually female judges in the family court are much more favourable to men, believe it or not. The male judges seem to be more harsher with men.
That's obviously going to be coming from individual cases. Have you kind of aggregated?
That's anecdotal. That's anecdotal. I can't. It's difficult because the laws around family court cases are very, it's private law. But that is the evidence that I'm seeing is that female judges in family court are much more, how do I put it? Can we swear here? See through the bullshit better when a woman's lying.
Bullshit is not a swear word.
There we go. It's not a swear word. The female judges, that again, this is anecdotal evidence, see through the bullshit better in the family court than the male judges. The male judges, what we can see, are very, very anti-male, and the female judges seem to be a bit more fair and even-handed. It's even to the point now where if he tells us that he's got a female judge, we go, oh, that's better for you. Trust me. You wouldn't think that, would you? You think it'd be the opposite way around, but it's not. It's really not. Female judges seems, again, anecdotal, but yeah. So let's go to flip that back to juries. Women are, I believe, much more better equipped to see through the lies than a man are. But I still think, yeah, if it went too much in say it was 9-3 with 9 women, 3 men, that dynamic could be too much.
Mm-hmm. It's like if you have a number of people, which is the 12 is supposed to represent, at least then you can have a bunch of people to choose. I mean, that's the idea, isn't it? You get all these ideas in there together. I think the problem is with the culture wars and with sex allegations in particular. Sex allegations go to the heart of what it means to be human, which is why all these people, and it's the reason that the media jumps on everything. It's the only one that they're really interested in with the writing, is because it's, you know, it's about essential morality. So when you can do that and you can manipulate a jury in that way, that is the best chance we have, is not being able to manipulate a 50-50 male-female jury of adults. I think it's the best chance we have, because that judge will want to be seen to be virtue signaling. Yes, the woman judge might, as you say, might have passed the curve of certain things. So maybe individual judges, we don't have to penetrate it too much, unless we see things where repeatedly they've exonerated people of their own type. And that includes the men for men as well. If a male judge is consistently letting off repeat abusers, to go to the language of accusatory side, that's as bad as a woman consistently letting off a false accuser. It's very hard to prove, and they do have a lot of kind of evidence in front of them. As you say, the best chance we've got is the jury, right? But I still think that the jury is a good idea.
No, I do actually. I like that idea. I think that could be done. But we've got to keep this jury system. I think this needs to be resisted heavily. The feedback I'm hearing from lawyers that work with falsely accused networks, they don't like this proposal either. They're very cautious about it. Don't like it at all. So I would say that this is going to be massively resisted.
Yeah. You know what? I've noticed as well that this government of ours, Keir Starmer's government, is it pretends to be immune to resistance, but it actually does quietly go back on some plans that it has when it gets enough of a spanking, like the winter fuel ban and other things. So that's to be watched. You know, who knows what he's going to do, because the problem is with our subject, false allegations of intimacy-based things, is that it's very easy to virtue signal about, and you don't get any opposition in Parliament. You get very any opposition in the mainstream media. Independent media is our best, like what we work in, is the best chance of people actually speaking about it in a realistic way, which unfortunately is, as the Liz Yeld will point out, you've got to go through it to know it, and if you haven't, you just tend to be uninformed about the thing.
But I agree. It's very difficult if you've not been through false allegations. It's very difficult to empathise and understand and talk to other people that have been through it. But I think, Sean, I think there's going to be a lot of resistance to this. I can't say for certain how this is going to go. Nobody knows, but I can see a lot of resistance coming. And certainly the feedback I've heard from the lawyers that we work with, they don't like it.
Yeah, well, good to hear. Just as like a closing thought, as we go out, what I've observed about all these things is that conflict resolution, which I'm a big believer in, seems to happen after the court trials, with so much of the things that you and I deal with. You know, conflict resolution might happen, but much later. Conflict resolution will happen much better happening before all this stuff, would it not? Save some money and save some mistakes and things like that. Do you agree with me? Or
I agree. Absolutely. Certainly, a lot of what I deal with is family cases with criminal cases as well, but it's more skewed towards family. But we do deal with criminal cases. Is that dispute resolution is conflict resolution? This is something we've really got to. And it's certainly when I'm on the helpline, I really encourage it. I don't want anyone to go into court. I don't want anyone having to go through all those allegations and fact-finding hearings and everything else. And yeah, I agree. This is something we need to explore and really encourage. Absolutely.
Yeah. If the crime bill, if whatever the Labour government do in the next few years involve things like getting rid of juries and whatever streamlining they want to do to get rid of the backlog, okay, we get that. Then perhaps that they can include sexual misadventure, as Patrick Graham suggests, and it's a recent Substack piece, as a crime category itself, which almost isn't a crime. It's a thing to be dealt with conflict resolution, which can become before all of that money, and just to get things to be done on a human basis, less criminal.
Yes. That's an interesting proposal. I wasn't aware of Patrick Graham's proposal there. That's interesting. Yeah. And I'd like to see more of that as well, where let's just drift back into domestic abuse, where there's a big difference between poor behaviour and abuse. There's a big difference, yet it seems to be a lot of what I would call poor behaviour, whether it's from the man or the woman or both, seems to be this desperate attempt to criminalise people. And I think we need to have a better understanding, maybe even have to put it in statute, who knows, about what would come under a definition of poor behaviour that doesn't need criminalising with conflict resolution solutions that you've suggested, and then a clear definition of what abuse is. But at the moment, there's a lot of cases that are going through, and I can give you one, for example, where somebody we supported got a criminal conviction for battery for throwing a pillow at his ex-wife. And we wonder why the criminal we wonder why the criminal justice system is backed up with cases. And it's one of the most preposterous criminal charges I've ever heard of. And that went through, by the way, and the man's convicted.
Right, really? Is he?
Yeah.
There must have been things kind of around the pillow, or was there not? That was just the pillow. That was enough for the battery.
Pillow. That was enough because he threw something and it touched her. That was enough. That was enough. I can't say any more than that because I don't want to identify anybody, but that was enough. So so to me, I mean, 20, 30 years ago, that would have been a stern telling off of the policeman, perhaps, for that. At best, it would have been, don't do that again, Mr. XXX. But no, it went to a court of law in England, and that man was convicted of a crime.
Did the pillowcase have some bricks in it or something?
Must have been a very special pillowcase.
You can't say, yeah, no.
I can't say any more than that. But yeah, and these are the things that are going on. That's anything to bump up the figures, I'm sure.
No, it's the things that we hear, of course, they make your jaw drop in that kind of direction, don't they?
Yeah.
Just to finish off, you've recently upgraded your podcast concept somewhat. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'd be delighted to. So, False Accused Network now, I've started a podcast, and it's something. It's an idea I've had for a while, and we've managed to find studios up in Manchester that we can use. So I want it professionally filmed, because I think this topic is, and certainly what we deal with needs a lot of reverence to it. So we've got a access to a studio, and
it's a real life thing that you're doing. It's the people in front of you.
Oh yeah, sat next to each other. We're sat next to each other and we're talking on film. And the first block of podcasts I'm doing are going to be with legal professionals. So I just interviewed Jessica Wilson and Claire Sharp from Eventum Legal. They're a specialist firm of lawyers that deal with false allegations of domestic abuse and SA. And then I'll be interviewing some family lawyers, some family barrister at some point. And then we're going to move on to victims of false allegations of paternity fraud as well, and mental health professionals. And it's just going to, and I would be also, I'm really interested in speaking to other organisations that do what we do. And the aim of the podcast is to highlight what's going on. And I want to bring legal professionals and the general public a greater understanding of each other as well, a two-way street. And certainly when the victims of false allegations come up, will be coming on, which will be later this year or early next year. I want the general public to see and hear the reality of being falsely accused, what it does, what its effects are, and how it could affect you or a family member in the future. And the more we talk about this, the more we raise awareness of this, hopefully things will start to change.
Well, that's fantastic stuff. It's good to hear. The spirit with which falsely accused the network does stuff is to be admired, and there's a whole vibe in the whole of the movement. You know, with us, the Spoken Injustice, with Anna Doherty, with what you do, what you guys are doing now, empowering the innocent where I come from, FASO on X. In fact, all these groups that we talked about earlier, which are joined under the False Allegations Forum, which doesn't have a logo as such, but yeah, we there's a different energy going on, which is much more positive and descriptive and real. And I think that is what we will hang on to quite. And you're a brilliant counterpoint for that. You know, center point, not counterpoint, for that entire thing. So just take that from me, Mike. It's brilliant.
Thank you. No, thank you. And like we mentioned earlier, before we started recording, we and I'll say this to the other organisations out there. You know, I've met you, Margaret from FASO. Not met Lynn yet from International Falsely Accused Day, but I think we will at some point quite soon. I am always saying,
put pictures on our wall now. Nice one, Lynn.
We're gonna, you know, I am always saying this topic needs a team of us. We need to all come together, collaborate at some level, get legal people on board, get academics, victims, mental health, a lot. You know, we need a big team of us to work at some level to really catapult this topic out there. And I think it can be done.
Fantastic. Okay, so our message is Shabana Mahmood. God bless you. If you want to come to the jury trials, you have to get through me and Mike and the entire falsely accused movement first. So good luck with that. So from Mike Thompson from Falsely Accused Network, from me from ETI TV, and from Judge Morrissey in Manchester, thank you, and see you on the next podcast. Bye. You can stop it.